Man, this comic book sucks! And the reviews online said it was good! I wasted my money! Why didn't somebody tell me?
The book you've all been waiting for, everyone. The comic that is the most popular comic book out so far. Not necessarily, but the most, I don't know if it still has the same weight, but it's still going. It's 157 issues in. The Walking Dead. The start of the Whisperer War.
Oh, good lord, another war.
Wars, they have a bunch of wars in this comic book.
It was like on the title of the books, like, All Out War or something of that nature. And now we have the Whisper War. I'm like, these people, I would love to just get to the score, but between reading, I read the book up until the point where they were on their way to Washington, D.C., and, they had, they were on their way to Washington, D.C. I don't know if they had found out at that point or had not found out that Eugene was just, telling them stories and there was nothing in DC to be had. But that's as far as I got before I stopped reading. And then I was watching the TV series, and the biggest reason I tuned out, at least with the comic, it's easier to watch the TV series because that's just a bloody soap opera, and like we were saying, nighttime soap opera. But reading it, especially since these guys are actually trying to write a story with 11, 12 panels per page, so I actually have to sit down and read this, and it's a heavy amount of dialogue, in this issue. But the one question I keep asking is, okay, what do these people have to live for? Okay, in your plot, because Kirkman says he's plotted this book out to issue 300, and I guess he's decompressed it to the point that it can get out to issue 300 because there's really nothing going on half the time. But what do these people have to live for at the end of the day? They have nothing to live for. They live in a constant state of anxiety, fear, war, and violence. There's nothing to really live for. At some point, you're all wore out. It can't just be to the point where I'm just going to keep doing this over and over in perpetuity because that's what we do. I can understand if they were trying to clear a path, to raise, so the children would be fine. That's never a part of it because the children are being raised to be killers, and, this is the life that they're being shown. So for me, I'm reading this and I'm like, you guys are in another war? Another one? And we already know any lull of peace is going to be what? More war. All the people are despicable. The characters are like the worst individuals that you could ever think of. I always approach The Walking Dead, two ways. That you would have, the zombies were The Walking Dead. And they don't even factor in anymore. They just kind of pop up to make a cameo at the end of the day. But the other way was to look at these people that they encounter, like the governor or Negan, and those are the actual Walking Dead. They're these living people, but they're soulless in terms of how they treat everybody else. I know they would say it's like more like Rick and the other people. They're the Walking Dead because, they're just existing. But it's these horrible people, that they meet who have totally lost any humanity whatsoever. Now, if they were in contention with that to try to maintain their humanity, I think that would be a richer story and a more rewarding one. But this is just constant fighting and war. Even when I get this one, if you're someone like me who stopped reading and you say, let me start reading it, and it's like, oh man, you guys are in another war? I just finished that when I read that last, like in 60 issues ago. So, that was an issue for me picking it up.
It was, once they had Charles Allerton on the book, I was thinking about trying to check it out, but it's definitely a talking head book, and I can't. There's so much I can do with just a lot of talking heads. So, but I did read this one. I did think it was okay. I don't think I'm going to continue, but I mean, there's things that questioning. I guess this is Negan, and he wants his bat back, and I guess I know I'm mixing TV and movie, but I know that he bashed in the Asian kid's head. So now they're trying to win. He's trying to get back into the fold with these guys. It's like I don't understand. That turns into like one of those lost plots where the bad guy act. Oh, I'm a good guy now. No, I'm a bad guy again. So there's a lot of stuff that was a little bit confusing because I didn't know about who Alpha was, but I get it when they sort of showed the body later. So I mean, maybe, but there's some questions. But it was readable even for a Talking Heads book. There was a lot of dialogue, of course. But then I did run into something that bugged me, where they had the two guys talking in the room, and this other guy comes in and is like saying, "Hey, you guys finally getting together?" And it's like, What person comes up to people and say, "Hey, are you guys having sex yet?" I was gonna curse, guys. I'm sorry. That's why I just had to stumble on my words. It's like, "Hey, you guys aren't getting together," and like maybe girls do that to people that are getting together, but no one's really honest about. I thought about it. Usually they're like, "No, I didn't think about it." Like it is quick, and you get out of there because you don't want to reveal, and you don't want to give up your power. You're guys. You don't want to give up your power. Yeah, so I don't really understand. I don't think that's a little too forward, and they were a little too well. Let me get soon. Let me get out. Like they get stumble on the guy saying, "You guys probably consider it." Like basically, you have female friends. You probably considered them too. Like everyone considers something. So what? Like this scene really bothered me because it's just a little too forward. Otherwise, it was a little different than I remembered because usually Walking Dead is, you know, like a lot of talking and then zombies come and just start eating them and they run and fight. This one, like the hint of the zombies are coming up later. So I mean, I think if you're liking The Walking Dead, I think the art is somehow holding up after all this time on the book. It's a little too long for any one artist, but you know, it's setting up this long war. Instead of them being there, now you see them walking from afar. The Walking Dead are just coming again, and the sniper can't take out however many zombies are coming. So. We got 6 issues of this. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there with you, but if you're a Walking Dead fan, you probably will enjoy this.
In terms of the art, I never thought the art was very strong to begin with. It was pretty loose, some minimalist stuff at the end of the day. It's indie art. I'm used to any of the high level stuff, the great detail, that's usually on the top superhero books. That's usually where I find it. I don't usually see it with many indie books. So, the fact that it's not so much I think the art is keeping everything up, it's more the readership is like, okay, this is fine. But I guess the longtime readers, that's how the characters are supposed to look because they're rendered by that particular artist. So, in terms of the overall art, I think it's fine. I think the guy put himself, I don't think they knew it was going to go this long, but I guess once they realized it was a hit and it's definitely going to go on, he, said, okay, this is the pocket I need to stay in, to keep my health up, just make certain I can, do these books. And it's he's fine at the end of the day. Not necessarily like a Jack Kirby who was turning out some really eye-catching panels, but then few people are Jack Kirby at the end of the day. But I think it's it's serviceable. He's turning in serviceable art every issue that I've seen.
It's all headshots. What else can? And I mean,
Hey, I said serviceable. I'm being polite. What do you want? You want me to say lazy?
I mean, he's a premier horror artist, but like it's kind of almost a disservice having him do talking heads. But if you've been following
that's not the disservice. He's a top horror artist, and we don't get to see anything. There's no zombies or like really horrible, despicable stuff most of the time. It's just this. It's a bunch of it's a soap opera, even in the comic.
That's not him. He can't come. He can't. Well, he could. So he could. He should just turn into either Perez or Byrne and say, you know what, we need something to happen this issue. So I'm gonna have them trip and fight a zombie and fall into a moat or something like that. And then Kirkman is like, no, it's my book, even though I wanted you in the first place. I did not want my friend Tony Moore. I always wanted you as the artist. So we're not doing that though. It's my book. I'm the key. I control everything. I own everything. He turns into Daffy Duck. This is a dramatization of Robert Kirkman turning into Daffy Duck and losing control as creator. So I don't think that actually happened. So
at this point, for me, Walking Dead is a pocket book. It's a pocket audience. He's got them in the pocket. They're going to keep coming back. They've been reading this long. They definitely want to see how the story is going to end. But plot-wise, I just don't know what these guys are going for. And structurally, again, the biggest thing for me is I don't have any idea what these people have to live for. It's like robotic fighting at this point. And the lack of humanity on both sides. Okay, the lack of humanity on both sides is kind of depressing when I read it. But again, for the audience that the book is going for, you got them in the pocket. They're gonna stick with it. I don't see any reason for them to leave since you're giving them exactly what they want and they keep coming back. Not me though. I don't know. I think the last time I read was around issue 60 or 70. I don't think I'm going to be back. Oh, I read once more. This is about issue 100 when, no, there was some issue when Negan killed Glenn. And that just totally made me angry. So I just left the series altogether. I have a really, it might be a pet peeve of mine, but I hate these nihilistic dystopian stories. And, there's not a lot of, in terms of male figures, there's not a lot of black or Chinese or Korean guys in these types of stories anyway. Most of the guys, are white. It's almost like, hey, when the dragons come to eat people, okay, when the dragons come to eat people, it's like for some reason they're always looking, hey, we're going to get this guy. We like the dark meat. Or I like Chinese. They're going to eat, there's always a small...
Hey, watch it, buddy. It's on the line. Borderline.
Yeah, I'll make my point. But you go to these futuristic settings. It's almost like when you saw Star Wars and it was, nobody's black in those films. And so you're like, okay, there's nobody there. So like, okay, fine. And this situation over here, same thing for me. It's like Glenn, for me, was refreshing. I was like, okay, you made it. You didn't just made it. You also got a girl. Girl's pregnant. You're actually going to start a family. You're a survivor. You can be a survivor too. And he's gone. And I was like, okay, you would never do this to Rick. Okay, you sure as hell aren't going to do it to Michonne because that would be too much of an uproar. Okay, but then Michonne for me is like the other character too. Michonne is like the strong female character, and yeah, any guy who gets with Michonne, he's going to end up dead. Every guy that she has linked up with is going to be dead. The only safe person is Rick. And those type of things just like really want me to want to pull my hair out at the end of the day. Because just in terms of the overall story, it's like, look, at least give me a core group that I know I can count on. And you can bring people in revolving, along those sorts of lines. But for me, yeah, that was just a big problem. I liked Glenn as a character. But I also recognize the importance of Glenn because in a world where, there are just so few guys like him altogether in this apocalyptic setting, he gets picked and he's killed. I'm like, well, darn, I guess, all of that was for nothing. What's the sense of, I guess he's never going to survive. And it's the same sort of thing that's perpetuated and shown in terms of media. They've been doing it for a very long time. I'm not saying Kirkman does it willfully, but it does play into that same tapestry of showing that, hey, look, don't worry, we'll be okay if the world, comes to this. You guys know, you guys are in trouble.
Well, I mean, it's a book that's also very much going for the darkness, doing this sort of future and showing that there isn't any reason to live to get these darker areas of the mind and this darker aspect of the characters doing these, like, how much further can we push it? So then we, obviously if Negan is now trying to become their friend, they really trying to, that people are connecting with the dark characters. So it's, definitely, I'm, a precursor and everything was saying, if you're a Walking Dead guy but you can get caught in a trap where, like Lost, you bring the bad guy in, oh, I'm good now. All he does is pick the bat up and bash somebody else's brains in. And like, I'm do this, what's the name, the frog and the scorpion? Like, TV loves that. So, like, you get caught in a trap doing those type of stories, don't do them. If you're going to make Negan a good guy, then he's got to stay a good guy, not, oh, I lied, smash. I don't know. So what's your score?
Oh, man. I think I'm going to go what you did for the first book. This is a 1.
Oh, God. Wow. Now you make me rethink my score. I think for the Walking Dead fans, this is going to be a 3. So I think if you're reading this book, you're already in the crowd, you're the thing, you're going to go at this and be a 3. I think it could be a lot better. I think there's some things, but these people have been probably reading it from 1 to 157. So they know why these characters are reacting this way. Stuff I needed to know as a person, if I would score it, just saying I read off the back, it'd be 2, but I know this has a bunch of fans, so I'm reviewing it to them, so it's a 3 for them.
Yeah, I mean, but then you have it's like the Frank Miller clause, where okay, you got the guys who will buy anything with Frank Miller's name on it and Batman. It doesn't matter if it's any good, it doesn't matter if there's any qualities to expound upon it. They're just going to buy it because it says Frank Miller Dark Knight, and everybody's like hoping or waiting for lightning to strike again. And Miller has already decided with his writing a long time ago, I'm not even going to try to do that. I'm just going to, because you guys keep buying it. I make millions of copies sold every time this happens. I'm making all this money with marginally good work. And with this, I'm looking at The Walking Dead and saying, you know what? If I'm a long-time reader and I was on here, I'd probably give an even lower score, because I think a longer-time reader deserves more. Not more of the same, okay, but more progress, more direction in terms of where this story is going, rather than another war. Okay, rather than losing some really good characters just to prove anybody can die, and that's a lie, because we know we're not going to kill Rick or Michonne. That's a lie, because I don't know if I'm going to make another character that's as hot as Rick or Michonne. So those guys are definitely going to stay. So for me, yeah, one. You haven't shown me. You started off hot, and now you've done the same. You've done the same thing that so many of these other guys do. Now you're playing in the pocket. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to this audience. And it's hard because you can't really stimulate an audience, say, hey, you guys need to stop reading this. If you stop reading it, then, these people will start, hopefully getting to some better stories, because I don't even know if they'll do that. They might just start doing more shock value stuff in order to bring people back. But, hey, I haven't read in a long time. I came back, and I'm not going to be reading again anytime soon. Unless, of course, it's slated, unless we put it up for the review.
It's still the hottest indie book out.
Yeah. Okay. If you have a copy of Walking Dead #1, if you have a copy of Walking Dead #1 and you sold that, you'd make yourself a nice, pretty penny. But there are so many different issues that also sell very, very well. And then you have all these other characters who are introduced. Oh, first appearance of this guy, first appearance of that guy. So even if me, as a collector, if I was just looking for a series to invest in, this would be great. Because at any given point, a character could be introduced, and that could be the character that just really jumps off. That could be the character that just really pops out. Between... first appearance of Rick Grimes, first appearance of Michonne, first appearance of the governor, first appearance of Abraham, first appearance of Jesus. And this is over just the course of, like 100 issues. That's a lot of first appearances. So a lot of these guys...
There's a Jesus in the story?
A guy named Jesus.
It's not Jesus, it's actually Jesus?
It's Jesus.
Oh my God.
No irony there. No irony there, Petey. That was good.
Is he at least black, like after the basketball player?
No, he looks like Jesus. He looks like one of those old Jesus paintings with the long hair and the beard and the blue eyes. He looks like Jesus.
All right, my score is going down.
Yeah, but it's one of these books. It's Newton's law. As much as Newton's law may have been countermanded by Einstein, it was still good for 400 years. And an object in motion tends to stay in motion until it meets, equal and opposite, resistance. So we go right over here now. And it's the same thing. The Walking Dead is hot, and it's going to stay hot until something cools it off. And it's not going to be the readership. It's not going to be them, especially not when you have people who are so hungry, for back issues. The storyline goes over very well. It's extrapolated off into other mediums. And the one thing I would give The Walking Dead, I'm a really big Superman fan. I look at The Walking Dead and how they played it, how it went from comic book, they got it on television, they have video games, and Kirkman, you can say what you like about him. Okay, oh, he sold out, he did this, but he's exploiting the hell out of this particular property. Okay, and it's his to exploit, and he's doing a really good job with it. Then I look at something like Superman with Tomasi, and I'm like, this is the reason why you can't exploit Superman, because you guys are all over the place with him. As much as this may be a pocket story for a particular audience, he's exploiting it well. You got someone like Superman that doesn't have to be, for a pocket audience, and you could exploit it all these different ways. You can't even make a video game for this guy. When's the last time he had an animated series or anything of that nature? So that much I can give up for the series and for the exploitation of it. But in terms of this issue, it's a 1, and it's not going up.
Man, all right. So there it is. We get 3 for you. I don't think we were that terrible to him. We didn't really,
Yeah, wait till next time. So, coming to you from Spin Direct, again, we're just trying to save you some money. And don't worry, we got some... Okay, yeah, worry. I'm sorry, because I'm lying. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to do anything in front of a camera, but we really hope you are enjoying the shows. Please keep sending us all of that good stuff that we've been getting from you. We do appreciate anything that you have to say. You know a hot book? Let us know. We want to definitely review it. We want to be entertained just like you are. And we're trying to keep your money in your pocket so you actually get to spend it on some quality stuff. Because you work hard just like us. You don't get review copies, so we're giving you the real deal. We're not selling out like some of these other review places whose names I will not mention because Petey told me not to. Spinnerack out. We'll see you guys later.
Later.
Thanks Spinnerack. You saved me money.